My video for July the 18th, 2018 is entitled Trump and Putin in Helsinki with U.S. Lying Media. The news conference with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin was very telling to me, especially when the media began their questions. The U.S. mainstream media questions were frivolous. They are still blowing that Russian interference in the election propaganda of the demoncratic, that's a fake word, fake news media. While I am not a Trump supporter, I think both he and Putin did a good job based on what I heard them say. That said, one of my longtime friends sent me a video of a woman named Claudia Stauber advocating the growing of our own food. Wonderful idea, but certainly not practical for a large portion of the population. Limited income, poor health, as well as wrong environments prevent such meaningful solutions that simply cannot work for many people. In fact, in some places, the officials have made it a crime to grow food, even on your own land. To them, no one owns anything except the government-owned or supported corporations. Like many, I want change, but it must be practical to be effective, taking into account the political and economic realities we face on this planet of lies. I noticed I had a typographical error up there, and I have to go back and reread it after I finish the video. I'm not going to try to fix it now. I thought the presentation by both gentlemen was pretty good. I know that we can't always trust what we hear people say, but I have respect for Putin. And I'd like to be able to respect Trump as well. There are some alliances, especially with the nation of Israel, which I think is a terrorist state. Well, not that the United States isn't a terrorist state. It is also a terrorist state, and those two are aligned in world terrorism. But that said, I did think that the speech that each made was good. And I was appalled by the questioning, especially from the U.S. media, not Russia Today. They did their questions were relevant and important. The U.S. media focused on the fake news that Russia interfered in the election, causing Hillary Clinton to lose. I mean, that's nonsense. Russia could not possibly influence all of the people that voted for Donald Trump as opposed to voting for Hillary Clinton. And as Trump pointed out in the thing, he won the Electoral College vote as well by a large margin. I mean, it wasn't even a close contest in the Electoral College. So the propaganda put out on the mainstream media is lies. We need to realize that if it's CNN, ABC, NBC, and all of the other CBS and all of the other mainstream medias, they are liars, folks. They are the ones putting forth fake news. You can get some real news on the alternative media, but you've got to dig for it because there's fake news on that too. You've got to be discerning. And discernment requires that you think for yourself and you don't allow the propaganda to program you to think a certain way and create strife and animosity from one group to another. Now, about this video that my friend sent to me, this is a lady, the person who sent it to me is someone that I greatly respect, and I get a lot of good information from her. And I'm not going to even suggest that Claudia Stauber is wrong on, I don't know all that she stands for. I haven't listened, I don't know if I ever watched any of her videos before. I seem to think I have. But this particular one that I'm referring to She is advocating that the solution, we've got to stop being victims and take charge of our lives. And the one way that we can do that is by growing our own food. Well, that sounds like a really nice idea for people living in the country or even in areas that are, not so crowded. But certainly in Manhattan, people are going to have a problem growing their own food, and in a lot of the large cities. And people that live in apartment buildings. I live in an apartment building, and there's simply no place that we could possibly grow our own food in the apartment, on the apartment property. We'd have to go and find property somewhere else to have a garden. And at one point in time, I actually had a garden somewhere else, now that I'm saying it. But that's been a long time ago. And many of the people that live where I live are in wheelchairs or walkers and could not possibly have the dexterity to grow their own food and to do the gardening and stuff like that. It's just simply not a practical solution. And as I also said in the blurb, there are some areas where people have grown food on their own front yard. And I don't know if it's happened in their backyards, but I know it's happened in people's front yards where the authorities that claim to be authorities come and they destroy the gardens, or fine the people for growing gardens on their own front yard, because again, property is not owned in the United States. It's not owned by people. It's owned by the government. Just stop paying your taxes for a while and watch how long they allow you to stay on your own property, even if you've paid for it. I have personal experience with that. I paid for my property. It was paid for the day I moved in and then stolen from me. And they would not even allow me to pay the taxes because the bank moved in and claimed ownership of the property that I live in. It took them a long time to get it. It took them over 10 years to finally take it away from me, but they finally did succeed in doing that. So there's a lot of things that seem like simplistic answers and seem like they might work, but they don't work because we live in a world that is corrupted by powerful forces that are very, very negative and very controlling. They do not want or advocate freedom for people to do what we want. We only have freedom to do what they want. They are the dictators. We are not free. We are not independent. And unless God, and I keep saying this, unless a real God, a real creator, takes action and brings down this house of cards that has been erected and perfected in many respects over generations and generations going back millennia, certainly centuries. And we have to get that stopped if we're ever going to have heaven on earth and have a world that we can cooperate with each other, that actually works on principles of truth and love. And I know that sounds like a broken record. I know I keep harping on that. But truth and love are the foundations for any workable society. The society that we have will never have harmony because it is not workable from a harmonious point of view. It is simply insane. When are we going to wake up? More importantly, when is our Creator going to wake up and stand up for the people that want to do right and want to do good and want to help everyone else succeed and not try to hold everyone else down as the current control grid government mind control seems to be? Thank you, folks, again for listening, and have a wonderful day. Share this if you liked it. Namaste.